All right. It is December 3rd at 9 a.m. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Everybody, see the precipitation continues. So Charlie, I'm waiting to find out, did we hit the most precipitation?
It is already.
12-month period?
It is already, and the year's not even done yet, yeah. Hopefully we'll get it.
What happened to the weather? There's no rain today.
I know. And no
The day isn't
snow.
over.
The sun will be out.
Really? You heard the sun's coming out? I'll believe it when I see it.
Vicious rumors.
So, everybody get a chance to review the minutes from November 26th. With that being said, is there any modifications? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Dahlheiten, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Today's agenda. Administrator Kelly, there's rumor that you may have something to add.
Yes, Mr. Osselson has the first modification there.
Mr. Chair, I have a consent agenda item there. It would be Roman numeral 4D. And the day after submitting the agenda, another contract came in. The contract is identical, just with a different vendor. So I'd like to add that too, so we can get the contract in place. It's with Central Minnesota Guardianship and Conservatorships Services, LLC.
Okay, so we're adding that to consent agenda item D2, that'll be?
That sounds right. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Any other additions? Alan's got some.
Other
Board. I just have two items I'd like to refer to the 1219 Owners Committee of the Whole that we have to discuss the third floor of the Government Center. The PR 63 site work, which is the pricing for all the paving, concrete, and lighting, I'd like to add to that meeting, as well as the site camera system, electrical, and fiber to that meeting. So two agenda items to add to that Committee of the Whole on the 19th for discussion.
That's at 1:30, right? I mean,
That is at, I've got it right here. That is at 1:30 on the 19th of December.
sounds good.
All right. So we're adding that down to the, looking on there, we had that, basically, we don't even have that on there. So we'll decide
Yeah, we
that as
don't have it
consent
on here.
agenda consent agenda I to add those items to the Committee of the Whole on 1219 for the building. All right. So with that, I will look for a motion to
So
adopt the
moved.
consent, or the agenda today, as stated. All right, motion by Commissioner Potter,
Second?
second by Commissioner Burrell. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now I'll look for a motion to approve today's consent agenda, or would anybody like to remove anything for further discussion? Get the reminder that we did add a D2 item for the guardianship contract, Central Minnesota Guardianship, and then the item I of the Committee of the Whole, additional agenda items.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes. Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Potter to approve today's consent agenda.
Over here.
Oh, Commissioner Dahlheiten, sorry. Your voices sound the same.
I guess, Mr. Chair, I would probably have a question about what the two items are, but do we need to pull that if we ask what the
If
two
you,
items
for
are?
item I, if you want to have a discussion on it, we can pull that off and have a discussion
Yeah,
about those.
I don't really need necessarily discussion, but just wondering what the two items are.
I guess if you want to take 30 seconds, that's fine.
Board, it's two items for the additional site work, the paving, the concrete, and the lighting on the northwest part or portion of the Government Center and Justice Center. We are holding back on the landscaping until closer to spring. We can better vet that portion out. I think we can probably remove some trees and save some costs. But the paving, concrete, and lighting, we'd like to get revised and approved at that meeting. We added the additional parking lot, as you know, revised the site. So this is the changes from the original contract on the Justice Center to the new Government Center and full site, as well as now the camera system for the parking lot. The electrician needs to pull electrical and fiber to those camera locations, so I have the pricing for both of those two items to discuss. I would just have it at a regular owners meeting, but it's over the threshold of approval. So we need the full board anyway, and thought it would be appropriate just to have it at the committee of the whole.
So I'm guessing this is kind of more the finesse as to which one gets paid out of the Justice Center and which gets paid out of the new
A
government
little
center.
bit, yep, a little bit, but it's all really approval of the change order because we changed the site, so now we have the additional cost for the additional site. So we have the first portion was the site work, the dirt work that we approved some months back. Now this is kind of the next section of the improvements, and then the last piece will be the landscape in the spring.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Today's consent agenda is approved. Now we are on to the 9:02 timed item. Auditor Treasurer Bob Hevola. Absent today is Chief Deputy Tammy Vay. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The only item that I have today is for a new tobacco license for a Quick Trip located in the city of Delano. This is a new convenience store. This license period is for January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Quickest timed item of the day. All right. Mr. Mattice is here to discuss resolution to accept a $1,000 donation from Bison Fishing Forever for Memorial Bench at BB Lake Park.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Kind of a routine donation, as you know, our department has a memorial bench policy, donation policy. So this follows that policy. Bison's Fishing Forever is donating $1,000 for the bench. Upon your passing of the resolution, we'll go ahead and order it and we'll have it ready for spring. And what we do is, because we really don't have a special account for where memorial benches come into and go out of, we put it in an NIPARK account and just kind of keep track of it. So the revenue goes into NIPARK and it comes out even though it goes to BB Lake.
Okay.
Perfect.
We've done it to Otsego, we've done it to Crow Spring, we've done it for all our benches, kind of the holding spot. I don't know if Heather likes it. She doesn't know.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
All right, motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Is that second? A second by Commissioner Hewsome to approve the donation from Bison Fishing Forever for the memorial bench. Any further discussion?
I think that's wonderful to get these gifts.
It is very, very.
I think it's a roll call.
It is roll call.
All right, so Commissioner Dahlheiden?
Aye.
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 Aye. Resolution passes. Thank you. All right, now we are at public hearing for the proposed, we're too early. We have a long way, that's right, I'm going to jump ahead. Well, we're going to have to work a little time here, so we're.
We may have to go on break, I don't know.
All right, so items for consideration, we have discuss the 2020 board meetings and workshop schedule.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I wanted to revisit this. As you know, we discussed this at our most recent workshop back in November. Coming out of that, the things I heard were that we'd like to keep the workshops going, but there was some discussion about having a board meeting on that same Tuesday. The concern that was being raised was the difficulty in scheduling some things in a timely manner, especially those items that required a notice to the public. Subsequent to the workshop, staff had a meeting and kind of came up with a thought that if scheduling is truly an issue, perhaps we could just put that as a workshop item as the first thing and address scheduling that way rather than having another board meeting. I guess the challenge in my mind is you either have a board meeting or you don't. If you start out with emergency items, eventually it's going to grow into a full board meeting. I think if we could try and limit the number of things to the meetings that are scheduled, we'd be okay, but I wanted to revisit this just to see where the board was at. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Administrator Kelly, so from a legal standpoint, if we're taking board action, would it just be identified, like we have our workshop on the second Tuesday, would it be identified that there comes Here comes our, the person that can answer the question.
Well, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hewsome, and members of the board, I kind of created this problem because it's our office that really runs into the scheduling problem a lot, dealing with drainage and other issues that we need to schedule hearings on with the board. And I think what we're thinking about doing here is just having a standing item on the workshop just to address scheduling issues. Because the problem that staff has is that all 5 of you have different calendars, and we have no clue where you are, because we know you're busy representing your constituents out there on a daily basis. And it's hard for us to figure out when we can get all 5 of you in the room. So when we get an opportunity to get all 5 of you in a room, we want to try to schedule a meeting with you. So I think if we can just get that on the workshop first thing.
So that's more of a, to schedule?
Yes,
As
it's more-
opposed to for
yes.
board action?
Yeah,
Okay.
no board action. It'd just be, it's something like, we need a committee of the whole date. Let's just get something scheduled on, and then we
Okay,
can
yeah.
formally adopt it at the next Tuesday. Something like that, or being able to schedule a public hearing on a drainage system to
Then
know.
that would, excuse me, Mr. Chair, then that would be a standing thing on the workshop schedule, would be an item for possible board action for scheduling a meeting?
It wouldn't be board action, it would be just scheduling,
Yep.
discussion on scheduling meetings.
And, but what I'm
if we
saying,
don't-
would it need notice, though?
It would be
if-
published, it would be
Right.
posted. It
Our-
would just be a
our-
standing item.
Our workshops are, I mean, everything's published.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Burrell, I just chime in that a lot of this arises because of the wording of the open meeting law. And what we would do at the beginning of the year, if we went ahead with this plan, is to say we're meeting regularly every Tuesday unless otherwise canceled, but not on the second Tuesday of the month, which is a workshop day. And then we don't have to give any further notice when we declare that at the beginning of the year. And so then on those workshop dates, you can take care of some of these scheduling items that Greg's talking about, and they would basically be rubber stamped or ratified at the next board meeting. But they can go ahead and do their publication without, now knowing that all 5 of you are available, or at least 3 or 4 of you.
True, because our consensus took place in an open forum, so therefore,
Yeah.
yep.
And Mr. Chair and Chief Deputy, I guess what I'm afraid of or concerned about, I shouldn't say I'm not afraid of anything, no.
Afraid of anything, Charlie? You've been in the Navy.
You heard it here.
He's been on a ship, he's not afraid of anything.
We're gonna hear him scream as a mouse runs by.
I was joking, honey, if you're watching.
I was just gonna say, yeah,
But
the way he's talked, he's afraid of his wife.
that it might morph into something else, that would, that we start taking action on this and that, and then pretty soon it is, you took action without, like scheduling a meeting is not a big thing, I got that, but I think we just gotta be real concerned that we make
Can't
sure
take
that it doesn't go into something different where we are taking action on an item that wasn't properly noticed.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, anything that you do at that workshop is going to be adopted at the next formal board meeting. That's how it works. I mean, if you
All right.
tell us to take a direction in one aspect, then the next week, and then with the minutes, it'll be.
See, as I'm getting closer and closer to being off the board, I'm starting to see things from a different side.
So, I guess as staff, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I think this is a good resolution, I think, to our issues, to try to deal with some of these administrative problems, hurdles that we get.
And Lee, you're okay with that? then?
Yes, with staff and administration, the attorney's office had a fairly lengthy meeting probably a week or so ago about this topic. And
Okay.
I
All
think
right,
this works
sounds
good for all parties involved, so.
Mr. Chair, Minister Kelly, and Mr. Kreiser, I appreciate this because, like you said, we always seem to have something that, we need to schedule, and, then we have to wait that extra week, but I appreciate the coming up with the solution so we can, address it that way.
And
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hewsome, I'm going to sneak a ditch in here quick, but, because there's a one on the agenda, so we have to have one. But as I told Administrator Kelly, what generally happens is a ditch issue usually comes in at Friday at about 2 o'clock after the agenda's been posted. So that's usually how it always happens. We need a public hearing scheduled at 2 o'clock on a Friday after the agenda's already gone up. So trying to deal with this would just help us with scheduling.
Good.
So, yeah.
I know, this is like the first meeting we didn't have a ditch item on. This
I know,
is,
Mr. Chair, that's why I had to
I
sneak one in.
can't, I'd have to go back probably 3 months to have one. Man, Matt must have nothing to do up there. I know that's not the truth.
Better job of that.
Yeah.
I know that's not true.
Elections next year, so you'll be able to keep them busy.
I bet if we,
Elections are next year, you'll be able to keep them
Oh, yeah.
busy.
We've got 7 now, 7 elections.
I bet he has the most full voicemail of anybody in the county. We should pull that, I bet. Matt's probably up there. Well, anyways, I guess we are down to the advisory committee updates. I guess, Charlie, you want to start? We'll go that in this time.
Yeah, I have lots of things.
There you go.
First of all, last Saturday, during the snowstorm, Wright County Community Action had their tree, they call it the tree trimming or tree walk, whatever.
Tree
And
walk.
at the Village Hall in Waverly, and I should say, in spite of the snowstorm that we had, it was really, really well attended. I was surprised, and I said I think there'd probably been 3 times as many people there, but it was really well attended. It's the first year, and I said I'm just looking forward to next year already. My wife and I just had a fantastic time. We're going to try to make sure we get the grandkids up next time. They had sleigh rides, they had an outdoor campfire with the Montrose Fire Department was supervising that. They had Mrs. Claus inside that was reading books to the little kids. They had a silent auction where there's all kinds of donations that different businesses from all over the county donated. It was surprising how much support we got from the community, from the business community. It blew me away. I was like, wow. So I'm hoping it was a good fundraiser for community action. Then they sold these little chips for, it was $20, and you got 25 chips, and you'd go around and put them in a vase to vote on the best decorated tree. And one of our commissioners had a tree there from his business, STMA Auto in St. Michael, and he won first place for the tea decorating. So it was really, really, really nice that way. But I said I would encourage everybody when they have this, if they do next year, to make sure you come. Sleigh rides, and it was just, I was blown away. It was like a little fair almost. So.
I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I was booked that day.
But anyway, then also, kind of following up on that a little bit, the Wright County Fair Board met last night. And as you know, I think it's been mentioned, this will be our 150th anniversary for the fair. And the theme is going to be the family-friendly fair. So anyone 17 and under will have free admittance to the fair this year. And they're going to try that out, and we want to encourage families to come. The adults would still have to pay, and they'd still have to pay parking, but I said if money was an issue, you could park, and there's a nice paved trail all the way to the fair from Howard Lake, and it's not a long walk either. So anyway, they're having lots of different events that they're planning. They're going to be selling raffle tickets, and we don't know for sure. I shouldn't say what it is, but it may be like a side-by-side type thing, or they're talking about a car. So we haven't decided on that. But the way the raffle will take place, anyone who pays for their ticket will automatically be put in for the drawing. So you purchase it as you purchase your ticket. You're getting a chance at winning the car or the four-wheeler. So I'm really looking forward to it. I say we need to build this up too as it gets closer and closer to fair time. But I think they're taking some really good action. Derek, I hope you appreciate that.
I do appreciate, that's, this, doing the family friendly, I like that 17 under, the free admission, that's.
And I did go a little bit out of line, but I said, I don't think this is going to hurt us. They said, how much did they collect from 18 and under at a normal fair? And it was like between 2,500 in that area, give or take. And I said, you know what, if it was really a big loser, I said, I don't make a promise, but I think the board would stand behind you on that if that's what it took to. But I said, I really think that you're going to be able, if you get more people into the fair, you're going to be able to charge the vendors a little bit more to make up for it, because they're going to be doing much better the more people. So that's.
Charlie?
Yes, go ahead.
Regarding that, is it anybody under 17 with paid admission?
No, under 18, so 17 and under. So
Yeah.
if you haven't reached your 18th birthday, it's free admission. But what was your question, though?
So if you're just there by yourself, 17-year-old kids?
They can come in.
Okay.
They come
So
in.
they don't have to be with a parent?
They don't
or
have to
anything?
be with their parent, just if you're under 18. We didn't know how to word that, if you're 17 and under or under 18.
Under 18,
But if
yeah.
you have not reached your 18th birthday, free admittance. That's,
Charlie, I appreciate that. That was a good concession from our last meetings, because this is a step in the right direction to,
but Mr. Chair, you brought a point up, and it's a valid point. We want to encourage the families to come, and I pointed out to the Fair Board last night, and they know it already too, but the future of the fairs is to get these young people involved in the fair, and, you know, if they're coming to the fair year after year after year, and now they turn 18 and they have to pay $5 to get in, not a big deal, you know? So, but we need to build that base up, and I think the Fair Board took a really good action last night by doing that, so, anyway, but it was kind of following up on your lead a little bit, Mr. Chair.
well,
so-
and you're right, Charlie, because I look at it myself, sure, you know, it's only $5 that I save, but it's $5 that I would spend it on my kid inside the fair.
Oh.
I mean, that's the difference, whether they're going to get a snow cone or they're going to go on one of the rides or not, you know?
But, and there's families that, because they did have a reduced fee if you were 13 to 18,
Yeah.
it was $2, but still, you know, that's why I said, it's not raising a lot of money, but it is discouraging families, especially if they have 3-4 kids in that area, you know, so, Mr. Administrator, what do you think about this deal?
That'll help me out.
Yeah.
If you could get the free rides, that would really
You
solve
come
the
with-
financial
you-
challenge.
Lee comes with his kids every year to the fair. I see him there every year, and that's so
bad
nice.
day.
He comes down from Stearns County and comes to our fair, so, and he brings all the kids.
And he doesn't even go to the Stearns County Fair.
We hit the whole circuit, I think, last year, so.
Okay. So anyway, no,
an investment.
I'm really excited, and I said that the family-friendly fair, and we're, in you know, because I said, it was so much things that we're gonna be doing to get kids in there and get them having a good time, and that's what it's all be about, so.
Well, you can send back to the board my appreciation for their efforts on what
Sure
they
will.
did, so please do
All right.
let them know.
Thank you
It
much.
didn't go unnoticed.
Okay. Oh, and then I should mention the dates of the fair. Oh, my
I
gosh.
should know this too.
Did I do that already? I didn't put it in my calendar. You know what? I'll mention it before the meeting's over.
All right.
I have it here somewhere.
Commissioner Hewsome.
Well, I don't have a lot to report. Our Historical Society does their big festival of trees, so any of you that want to go out and, I mean, I don't know how many trees they normally have. Do you remember, Mike? This is kind of your committee, but Historical Society, when they do their festival of trees, it's really.
There's a lot.
It is a place to take your kids and just to go and appreciate all the decorated trees from.
Bigger and bigger every year.
And they always have a competition between like State Patrol, Buffalo Police Department, and the Sheriff's Office. So that's kind of fun too, to see how they decorate their trees. I haven't been out there yet. It opened, I think, last Wednesday, maybe, Tuesday or Wednesday. And this isn't really an advisory committee, but Alan, should we talk about the potential mural? Alan and I met with a couple of members of the Buffalo art community, and we've got that large wall on the level 0 in the Justice Center, and looking to try to find something to, you know, put on the wall, essentially, a mural, and so there's different ideas about, you know, do you paint the wall with some backdrop and then have a timeline and historical pictures that represent really everything in the county, all the, you want all the kind of cities and the townships to be represented, but yeah, it's in early planning stages, and so if you're interested in offering input, we're looking for people with ideas too, so yeah. Anything to add, Alan? No?
I would just add, this is an item that's been planned since you planned the building. There's about a 12-foot tall by a 35-foot long wall that is right off the lobby that we'd like to do a nice historical representation of the county and kind of commemorating the history of the county. So this isn't something new that we just came up with. It's been on the plan. It just is finally kind of getting to that point where we need to get it figured out for the opening next spring, summer. So
Yeah.
open to ideas. We've got a couple concepts from the Art Guild, but something we'll keep working through.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Dodd.
are we gonna do something like that in the new government center too? Because the problem I have with the Justice Center is that you have to go through security, where we'd probably have more people through the government center that would have an opportunity to see something like that instead of the Justice Center. Is there a big wall in there too?
Nope. Not like the Justice Center.
Because that main floor is all of those, is the desks for each of the departments, so.
Congratulations.
I mean, there is wall space, Commissioner. You just have to kind of identify where we'd want to do it. Right in the lobby would be a great spot. However, that is kind of identified as the potential cafe or cafeteria type space that'll be opened up. Otherwise, you would go down the corridor, I guess, towards the boardroom and do something along there. But there isn't a large length section of wall. It's pretty broken up by doors, conference rooms, department spaces. And if it's something that was desired, we could probably figure something out and work through it. But this was kind of supposed to represent all of the campus, I guess, in the Justice Center. But if we want to split it up and do multiple concepts, then happy to take ideas and have somebody lead the charge.
Actually, a neat concept to do in the new government center then is, if you're doing history in the Justice Center, is to celebrate our parks and take a large outlay of the county, show all the parks on there, and then take picture captions from each of the parks and kind of market our parks in our new government center, kind of really draw attention to them and do something like that.
That'd be a good idea. My only concern is that, I mean, it's a neat idea to have it, but the Justice Center, we're gonna have more people going through the government center than I think the Justice Center.
Well, I mean, think of all the people that utilize the law library. It'll be right outside that area, and there's a lot of people that are in court for a number of reasons, and so, yeah.
I just think,
Commissioners and-
you know, the government center is more open, so that's why I was just curious.
Yeah, we just have to develop how you want to split the concept. If we're doing one in each one, then what are we putting on each
But
one?
the parks
versus all of
is
it,
a
so.
great idea too.
Well, you could,
Something
you know.
different. Because you don't want to replicate the same thing in two buildings. So,
No,
you know.
I mean, and, you know, if you're looking at that, you probably want to be looking at other things in the county, but at the parks is certainly a nice concept, but, yeah. That's about it.
Commissioner Bill, you got those dates?
Oh, just a little follow-up, yep. So July 22nd, the fair moved up. Last year it was a little later because when they got the Midway group to come, so they moved it up a little bit this year. July 22nd to July 26th. And also one other thing, that they have a drawing every night at, I believe it's 9 o'clock, every night of the fair, and you have to be present to win this, but you come in and you put your ticket in for a drawing, and the amount, I think before it was like $90 or whatever, but this year they're doing 4 of them, they're gonna be $150. So with the 150 at the fair, so there'll be four drawings at 9 o'clock for $150 each. So if you're there and it matches up with your ticket, that's what it is. You hold on to your ticket, they read off the number, and you could win $150 too, so.
Wow. They used to, remember, the fair used to be in August, so.
I just
really moved it up.
think it's great, yeah, so this is July 22nd to July 26th, but like I said, I think they're really working on it, and and if you guys have any ideas that you'd like to bring up, let me know, because I'll pass it on to the fair board too, so. We want it to be a huge success, so.
Yeah, good.
All right. I've, other than just sharing those nice renderings back there for concepts for that, it was very good, but last week, my advisor committees were pretty light considering the holiday week.
Right.
So I have nothing.
I'm kind of in the same position. Just to remind the residents that tonight we have our truth and taxation. So if you're bored, come on out tonight. It started at 6 o'clock. And then hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Yes.
we sure did.
And Administrator Kelly, when it gets to you, or I'm assuming you're going to introduce our newest employee? Okay.
In 2 weeks.
Other than that, I got nothing. Your turn.
Well, no meetings last week. Next week I will sit on MnDOT Variance Committee again. They asked me to sit on that. And I like that because that's more exposure for Wright County. We got projects there because those are the same people that make decision on park road accounts and transportation alternative projects, Matthijs. So that's kind of nice to get in front of those people again. Hopefully we have some projects that they have to sign off on.
Yeah, there was a couple that we approved.
That's it.
All right. Well, we're at 9:30. You want to take one last minute and finish out your piece, sir?
Okay, I can be brief. So a bunch of things going on. Of course, ERP continues this week. We are working on budgeting, and I know that's where auditor staff are right now, in addition to Sue. I've been working, as you know, with the Wright County Economic Development Partnership, getting them information regarding their Economic Development Director and their recruitment. I know they're working on putting together a letter to the board in response to that. So expect to see that in the next week or so. Mentioned the TNT meeting tonight at 6 p.m. Union negotiations are ongoing this week again, picks back up, which some of you are on, but I've had some discussions with the assessor about the local assessors, potentially having some changes next year, so we're trying to get our hands around what that might mean for the county going into 2020. Also, you'll hear a little bit more, if you check your inboxes, there should be a notification from AMC regarding the Department of Human Services and some of the calculations of payments. I know Jamie's going to discuss that with the board this afternoon as well, so keeping an eye on that and trying to be a unified front with AMC on that one. And lastly, yesterday our new communications specialist started. Mr. John Holler, who's been known to you guys for a while. I think he's requested I not make a big deal out of this, but choice is yours, board. I can't control you.
Oh, I think by all means,
Front and center,
communication, we need to get him up
speech.
here and he needs to be seen in the public.
Is he gonna escaping the roasting that all new employees go through?
He's already disobeying his orders. I don't know, I was still gonna look well for his first review.
All right. So there are no other business there, Administrator Kelly?
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. So with that, then we will move back to our timed item C, the public hearing for proposed changes to the fee schedule. With that, before, is there any comments would like to be made? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to open up the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Dahl. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the public today that would like to speak in regards to the changes to the fee schedule as presented? Yes, Mr. Matthijs. So you can be public, you can be private, you can be whatever you want to be. You can be Santa Claus if you want to.
No, I like the private one.
Thank you. Oh, has this been out already on the website, Mark?
It's on our, on here.
But I mean for the public.
It was in the packet.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, a few weeks ago, a month ago, I've been telling Brad in the office, we did that a few months ago, and I find out it's been 4 years, so I don't know what that means for me. But anyhow, a couple months ago, the Wright County Parks Commission made recommendations on the fee schedule to you. At that meeting, you suggested some modifications, and part of that meeting, Commissioner Dahl said maybe you want to look at the comparables to the counties that are next to us. So thought it was a pertinent time during the fee schedule hearing to bring that back to your attention. So what I've done is the boxed in table, that is what the Parks Commission recommended as their 2020 fees. What is on the bottom is what the board, what you guys mentioned when I brought the fee schedule to you to refer to this meeting. The differences were the electric sites, the Park Commission was 32 and 29. Board said 33 and 29. Non-electrical sites were were 21 and 19. You guys said 22 and 19, and then full-service sites were 35 and 32 for the Park Commission, and 36 and 32 for the board. When you look through the comparables, I did Anoka County, Carver County, McLeod County, Meeker County, Three Rivers Parks, and Minnesota State Parks. Use Sibley State Park because the state parks have a wide array of fees, depending on the popular parks down through, you know, their low-level parks. Sibley State Park is one of their more popular parks, so this is one of their higher fee schedules that they have in the state. With the Park Commissioner recommendation at 32, we are actually, you know, for an electric site, we are above Anoka County, Carver County. We're right there with McLeod because Al likes to copy our fee schedule. Meeker, we're higher than Three Rivers, and we are about the same, it would be the same as the state at 32. So we'd be, at 32, we would be on the high end compared to the counties. We'd be the same as the state if we kept the Parks Commission. If we go to 33, which was your recommendation, we'd be higher than the state park system, which when they're more.
For the non-resident. For the resident, though, we'd still be.
We'd stay at the residents, we stayed at, your recommendation as well as the Park Commission recommendation is the same at 29.
Right. So it would.
None of these other ones have residents and non-residents fees, so.
Right.
You know, I'm always big about having the discount for residents, because, you know, they're the ones that put this infrastructure there.
I'm not fighting the non-resident resident fees, I'm just.
And our taxpayers subsidize the parks quite a lot.
I'm not fighting the resident,
Commissioner
non-resident.
Dahlheiden?
Mark, at these sites, do they have, are each one of these at a lake, and are they
Yes.
as nice
Oh,
of, nice,
Anoka County's Bunker Beach,
so really not a lake then?
but water park
Yeah.
and golf
Loose
course and
definition in the
riding
state.
stables.
But,
Sibley's a lake and the beach, Three Rivers, yes, Meeker County, yes, Lake Coronis Park, McLeod, Pippenberg, and Marion. So,
are they as nice of a location? And I apologize, I've never been to really any of these other than Oka County.
No.
But, we have really,
these are nice parks too.
these are?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
I mean, Meeker County is hard to compare. I mean, that's a lot further of a drive from the cities from a standpoint of, if you're looking for weekend trips. I mean, Carver County's a good comparable, and Anoka County's a little bit different because it's not a lake per se comparison.
they got other campgrounds too.
Yeah.
You know, they got
Campground.
Grace Lake Chain and stuff like that.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner
Thank you,
Potter.
Mr. Chair. Mark, you left out Sherburne County.
Sherburne County does not operate a campground.
Bingo. And I'm with Commissioner
might.
Burrell on this. The residents pay for these parks, which is an asset, and people like them, which is good. But they should get a little bit of a break compared to non-residents that are coming and using our parks, and that's fine. And you say they spend money in town, they will anyway. The quality of the parks is what they're after. If it's a difference of a couple dollars, that's not going to deter people from going there. It's the quality of the park. And we do have the superior quality parks here.
Commissioner Hewson?
I'd like to point out that a lot of these have rustic sites that we don't have.
Oh, we
So-
we don't call ours rustic, we call them non-electric sites.
Okay,
Same thing.
okay.
Sorry,
But,
I should have updated that.
so we're right in line with non-electric and rustic, right? Pretty close?
At $21, non-residents, we're above the average range on the rustic sites. Depending on what you're recommending, we're above the average on most of our sites.
Mr. Chair.
For non-residents.
Commissioner Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Residents, we're below.
So Mark, want to understand, all the electric sites we have and any new proposed ones are all going to be 50 amp? Is that correct or not?
No, we have, at Collinwood, our upper loop, our existing loop is all 30, and we have 19 50 amp sites at Collinwood, or at Schroeder. And then all the new sites at Bertram will be 50 amp.
From now on, that 50 amp will be the
New 15 sites
standard?
at Collinwood are 50 amp, yeah.
Because at my resort, I switched everything up to 50 amp because that's what they got today for trailers.
The 15 sites at Collinwood that should be in are 50 amp with sewer and water hookups.
Okay.
And then Bertram will be all 50 amp sites, and then there will be some sewer and water hookups, not all of them. So that's the new fee schedule for the full service sites, we call them.
It looks like,
Commissioner Commissioner Burrell?
Mr. Chair, I would still like to propose that what the commissioners are recommending
That's what's
because,
in your fee schedule at this time.
yeah, because the reason is, I said these sites are booked up. I mean, and at least when I call as a resident and they're booked up, I know that at least somebody that took one that from out of the county at least is paying a bit more. I don't know. It's just,
Well, you wanted to see it, so I brought it to you.
yeah.
I mean, Commissioner Burrell, I'm kind of in line with you because I don't foresee us, that whether it's 22 or 32 or 33, it's not going to really change whether people come or not. But
Use all
it's,
Charlie's arguments for the fair.
what?
I was gonna use all of Charlie's arguments for the fair, then
Yeah,
they'll go
but-
spend that extra
but I-
buck for an ice
But
cream
this is
bar.
different because
But I want
I'm
this-
saying
I
that
want
we're
this
actually
for our
giving a discount
residents,
to
though.
those that live here in the county and pay for it. And that was my biggest argument with the fair, is I want to make sure that those, if there was free admission for Wright County residents to the fair, then it would be a different argument, you know? So,
So, just wanted to bring that to your attention, so you had it, as you make your decision on the fee schedule. Thank you.
Thank you.
anyone else that would like to speak into the 2020 fee schedule? One more time here again, would anybody else like to speak to the 2020 fee schedule? And for a final ask, is there anyone else that would like to speak in regards to the 2020 fee schedule? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now closed. It is now brought up here for discussion for adoption of the 2020 fee schedule.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to accept the proposed changes to the fees and service schedule.
Is it included the ones that, from the commissioners then, or the one from the park board? Like
Be the
one-
commissioners.
Chair,
Yes.
the ones that were published does not include what the commissioners have
Right.
recommended.
Right, so I said, if we're gonna make a motion to do it with the commissioners recommended, we have to make sure that we word the motion that way.
So what, some of it follows, some of it is different. If we were going to make a change, I believe we would have to republish based on those fees. So what's included in your packet is what was published out, and we have the affidavit to publish with, so.
So what is different? There's a couple that are.
So right
different.
now, basically, the difference is like, is the $1 on
Yeah.
those two
Yeah.
different areas.
So
Non-resident.
why,
Non-residents.
why was it not published what the commissioners recommended?
We had solicited from the departments, and that's what we received as recommendations for the fees throughout all the departments, so that's why we published what we did. We
So
had
if-
multiple discussions at budget, we had a subsequent one at, I believe it may have been a committee of the whole, and then
Right.
today, so.
Unfortunately, because we're going to go and end up to republish, we're going to end up paying $500 to republish, and basically that's the amount of money we get from the dollar more on each
Right,
site,
but-
so it's probably not worth even modifying it, because it would be,
Well, we can do it next year. I mean, the non-residents are still higher than the residents.
No, I got that, but I'm saying the commissioners recommended it to be higher, so why did the
Well,
department not take that?
Not all the commissioners recommended it.
Oh, really?
Not only
we
that.
probably should have discussed it
but-
at one of the workshops.
But we had asked Mark to do some comparisons. So there was no final decision made
So,
on what the board had suggested.
Mr. Chair, there's, looks like three differences.
Yeah.
The electric site,
Yeah.
non-resident, the non-electric site, non-resident, and full-service, non-resident.
And I agree with Commissioner Vetch, for us to republish it, wouldn't lose any money.
Yeah, I mean, we're,
And we can always change it again next year, but,
Okay.
and there is a motion on the table.
there is, yeah, we don't have a second, so really, I got a motion by Commissioner Potter.
I'll second it. for-
Second by Commissioner Dahlheiden, so we can continue the discussion. Thank you, Commissioner Dahlheiden. So now we can open up discussion again.
7 years and you don't know how to run
Right.
a proper meeting.
So, okay, but we may not have had a vote, but I think it was like 4-1 though, that this is what the commissioners recommended, right? And I just find it a little disturbing that the park board or the department doesn't say, you know what, this is what the board wanted, they're gonna be the final people, but now they kind of did an end around and made it so that our wishes did not happen, is basically what I'm saying.
Well, and Commissioner Brill, I totally agree with that, because I really thought that if we were going to publish it out and we knew that there was some discrepancies as to what they're publishing and what we were intending, I think we would have came back as a group collectively and would have discussed it out before putting it up to publish.
Well, correct, and that's typically our process from the administration side, is we put, when we set the public hearing in the board packet, the full of what's going to be published. So the purpose of that is to try and make sure that everybody's comfortable with what's being proposed. So if there's a way you'd prefer that to be brought forward in the future, I'm open to that, but I just thought we kind of had it at a point, and that's why we published what we had published, so.
I guess I'd like to ask Mark a question if I can.
Absolutely.
So Mark, you put forward what got published, right?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I can't remember, was it a month ago? I brought the proposed fee schedule to you.
Yeah.
You had some discussion at
Yep.
the time about increasing it, and that's the last I dealt with it.
So you,
Did this comparison
so you
for you
would have
then.
been okay if they put it in with what we talked about, the
I
increases?
was, in my small mind,
Yeah.
I thought that's what was probably going forward. So I
That
was
was
here
going
today
to
to
get-
fight for my park commission's recommendation.
Okay, so somewhere there was a little,
If I would have looked at the publishing, I might not have shown up today
okay.
and brought it to you.
You understand what I'm saying, though, it's somewhere there was a little
There's a little communication
communication gap somewhere.
where I'm not,
Okay.
we'd have to look back at the minutes, Lee, I guess, but I thought I know Susan and I had a long conversation about the minutes as they're published, and I think we talked about that. It was recommended that the fee schedule change, but, it was a month ago.
Yeah. Well,
You have to
I guess I'll be here next year, I got another year, but
and honestly, the parks fees do not have to go through public hearing.
they don't.
They do not, so you can make your recommendation.
So we could change it.
Kreiser? I believe I've been told by Mr. Osselson that park fees don't have to go through the public hearing process, but we usually do it just to
Usually
be
do it.
upfront. So if you want to
So if we did amend it,
yell at me right now because he's my boss, I think you can modify them to your recommendations because you don't need to have
Okay.
that public hearing.
I'm
on the
okay with that.
campaign.
So then, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion to incorporate the commissioner's recommendations for the non-resident fees to be increased.
So we have a
For
motion, we have a
there's three of
second.
them.
Well,
I'm in an amendment.
you,
I'm going to amend the motion.
you're going to amend the motion
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. to
if
do.
there, if Commissioner Potter is willing to accept it.
Well, no. If I get a second.
If you get a second, I'll oh, I can't second, so, actually, I can, as chair, I can second a motion, I believe, per the, we just don't historically practice it here, but you can.
Well, I'm just saying that
Well, we got attorneys looking at stuff, so.
So,
okay. But, okay, so I'm making a motion to amendment to the motion to incorporate the recommendations of the commissioners for the non-resident fees that we requested to be increased.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell?
Yeah.
Would you like to spell out the three that,
Oh, sure. So it would be on the electric sites, non-resident from 30 to 33, and the non-electric sites from 20 to 22. Am I right there, Commissioner
Yes.
Newsom? And the full-service sites,
from 35, or from,
it doesn't say what it's from.
it says no rate to 36
there was no rate?
There was no rate, but to set it at 36
and 32.
and 32, yeah, for resident.
All right.
I said that's what we talked about, and if we don't need to do a public notice, I'm hoping somebody will second that motion.
I'll second that motion because that was my understanding at the meeting.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Husum as amended to this. So we have two motions on the
No, you
floor.
make a vote on the amendment first.
On the amendment, yep. To amend yep, so, but
To
we have to,
change
we have to vote on the original.
No, the amendment
Vote on the
first.
The amendment first, yep, okay. So, is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. You know, I can hear what Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Husum saying, but it is kind of tough when you put this out in the paper for the public that we got one thing, and if there's a difference between here and what the board mentioned, that's more of an internal issue, not there. I don't think it's good precedence to sit and replace one number with another number. Go ahead.
Well, let's see what the legal beagle say.
It's hard to read on your phone, but the statute that we use, or the reason we have this public hearing annually is in the county board powers or the county powers, it says if the county's going to provide a service and charge a fee for that service, we should have a public hearing before setting the fee. But it also contains some language that says, you know, unless there's another statute that speaks to the fees. And there is a provision in Chapter 398, which deals with county parks, which says that the county board can set fees. You know, I can read, if I can call it up again here, and right in my phone. So it's talking about funding for parks. It says, for the purposes of this chapter, the county board may prescribe and provide for the collection of fees for the use of any county park or other unit of the county park system, or any facilities, accommodations, or services provided for the public use therein. So you know, if I told, Mark is probably right, we've had this conversation, I just don't remember when it was. I'm sure it was in probably the context of a situation where he wanted to change a fee, and it may have been early in the calendar year before the campground season started. And there was a question, well, do we have to wait until the county board has their regular public hearing on fees, or can I have the county board change it now? And my guess is that the county board probably, after Mark and I talked and I looked at this statute, we probably went ahead and changed the fee. So I think the county board can do that. I mean, the main reason for the publication, again, is to comply with chapter, I think it's 373.41. But there is a provision that would allow you to change a parks fee outside of that context, and nobody can really criticize you for it if you feel that $1 or $2 is important.
Commissioner Husum.
Mr. Chair, Chief Deputy Asselson, if we would just adopt the fee schedule as printed now, then we could bring it back after the first of the year to adopt these 3 changes?
Would you have to do public notice again? Or would you
Or
have
we
to
could
mail?
do it now and have the public have a better expectation of what the fees are going to be next year, because they would know right now.
True.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I guess I think this is the time. I mean, if people were, you've published notice, if people were interested in these parks fees, they would be here. The question is anybody going to get upset over $1 or $2? I believe you have the power today, while you're talking about this, to adopt the remainder of the schedule with the exception of whatever ones you pluck out, and then make a motion to set those fees at a different number.
But couldn't we do it the way we just did it, amending the motion to just adopt them right away?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, I guess you could do it that way as well. Whatever way you see as being the most clear.
What's the cleanest way?
So we have motions on there.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just want to call the attention of the board, and I understand Commissioner Potter about these being published. We're not affecting resident fees.
Yep.
Only non-resident fees.
Right.
So in all honesty, I really think it's kind of a moot point, because we're really not affecting our residents. And they're the ones that would have more of a concern.
Right.
because those are the ones we represent.
Yeah.
So.
We're impacting non-residents $1 a night.
Right.
I
So
mean, it's mostly just to try and make a separation between residents and
And
non-residents.
non-residents aren't going to be really looking at our fee schedules.
Right.
And coming
really
to
have a lot of say in it.
complain about it, so I would say it's kind of a moot point.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My point is that, okay, you hold a public hearing, you publish numbers, minuscule, this is what we're going to vote on. Personally, I think you should vote on it, because even though this is minuscule, what if it turns out to be something else, and all of a sudden, if I'd known you were going to change the fee from $50 to $200, you probably would have had a room full of people here on another subject. I think it's just a bad precedence to have a public hearing, publish the fees, and then go in and change the fees at the public hearing after people might have read through it and said, okay, I'm okay with that, understand that. Had I known that you were going to do that, I would have changed. And not particularly if this issue is for another issue coming up, but to me, it doesn't sit well with me.
But Mr. Chair and Commissioner Potter, if they did show up, the people that would be concerned would be non-residents. And if non-residents came in and say, we're really upset about you raising our fees,
Mr. Chair.
and we don't live in this county, they would say, tough
Mr. Burrell's
cookies.
missing the point. The point is, we published this fee schedule for the public out there, and this one just happens to be resident, non-residents, complete. But the principle of when you publish a schedule and you have a public hearing, people should be able to know when they come to this meeting, what's going on. And even though this one's minuscule, what happens the next time some other issue that has nothing to do with this, all of a sudden you're going to do this again?
And Commissioner Potter, if I might, I totally agree with you. If that was affecting a citizen in Wright County's rate, I would totally be on board with that argument. So, yes. So.
And I mean, and Commissioner Burrell, I am on your side for the fact that I feel like this didn't take place, the communication wasn't real clear as to what we were publishing for these rates, and for whatever reason that didn't come forward to, I didn't see it, Commissioner Burrell didn't see it, most of us didn't see that.
Yeah.
And we have the mechanism here to make it corrected to what we originally intended when we made these recommendations.
And the publication was not saying these are going to be our rates. They're proposed. And we at the board meeting, we changed the non-resident. Nothing, no, are we, whatever. These new rates will be published for next year, and everybody will know them by the end of today.
And you did put out a good point. It does say proposed, right, on the
Exactly.
proposed fees. That is the key word.
It doesn't say they're going to be this.
Mr. Chair, I was gonna comment on that when Lee suggested earlier that we might have to republish, and I can't point to any black and white law that says you need to republish if you change something at your, that's been published as a proposed fee schedule. I would suggest that if you came in and said, okay, we're going to drop this fee, we're not going to charge a fee for this service, or we're going to lower this one from $30 to $28, that you would go ahead and do that without republishing. And in essence, you're changing what you have notified the public about. The only time I would probably suggest, and again, this is without pointing to black and white law, is if you were significantly changing a fee or adding a fee for a service that wasn't even on the schedule to begin with. So I'm tending to agree with you that what we're doing, if the board were to adopt some different numbers than what was published, I'm tending to agree with the thought that you probably don't need to republish. That's why you have the public hearing, is to, spur discussion on these items, so.
Well, I have no intent in republishing that dollar change
no.
for non-residents, because if we're republishing it, then the increase in $1,200 in revenue or whatever it generates is going to be mute, because we're going to pay that just in publication costs, so.
And like I said, if it was affecting Wright County citizens, I would agree with Commissioner Potter. But this isn't. If non-citizens come in here, I'm not going to really give them a whole lot of credence anyway, so.
And, Mr. Chair, I mean, these rates are going to be published when they look at
Exactly.
the park, what are the park fees?
Mr.
And
Chair?
we want to rent a spot.
So we need a vote on
Commissioner
that.
Dahlheiden, you have the floor.
Now, there's a motion and an amendment out there for
Yes.
just the parks, or was that for
This is for the fee
all
schedule.
the fee schedule?
Well, it's,
The amendment is to put the changes that the commissioners
rate.
recommended.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, because I have some questions regarding some of the other ones that are on this fee schedule.
Okay. So let's vote on this amendment first, Mr. Chair.
All right, is there any other discussion on regards to the amendment made by Commissioner Burrell and seconded by Commissioner Hewson? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign?
Aye.
All right, amendment is approved 4-1.
Now we're back to the
The
motion with the
original, is there any discussion on the original motion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Tammy, does the auditor's office currently charge for liquor license, background fees, and that sort of stuff?
We do have fees, but I don't.
Because I don't see, well, this is only for current changes, because I see that the sheriff's office is adding one for liquor license application, background fee, and temporary liquor license. So I was just kind of curious if the auditor's office had been doing that, or if the sheriff's office had been doing that free in the past.
Are you familiar with them? Okay, good.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Delighten, I don't know what, the fees are different for, depending on the type of license. A lot of those are either set by state statute in some instances or by prior board action. And those are fees just for the administrative work in the auditor's office, not necessarily the background check. Most licenses require the sheriff and our office to sign off on the back of the form indicating that there have been no violations of liquor laws in the last, it's either 3 or 5 years. I think that's what they're talking about. Our office has not charged a fee for that. Usually the paperwork crosses my desk and I do a quick search and sign off, and that's it, so.
I just noticed that the sheriff's office went from an application background fee from no charge to $100. So I was just kind of curious on if a different department had been charging that in the past, or how that all worked.
He had a number of increases from 0 to,
And Mr. Chair, Commissioner Delighten, again, I don't know exactly what their process involves. I just know at our office it's fairly quick and easy, so they may do a little bit more in-depth background check.
And I'm just kind of curious on how that all worked out. Tammy, you had an answer?
Well, I can't speak for exactly, in regards to what the fees being recommended. What I can tell you is currently the fees that we have for liquor license in our office is a liquor license on sale is $2,500. Liquor license on off sale, including Sunday, is $3,000. Liquor license off sale is $500. A temporary liquor license is $75. And then their compliance check violations, the first violation is $200. Second violation within 2 years is $500, and then the third violation within 3 years is $1,000, plus 1 week suspension of license. So those are the fees that we have in our department.
Okay, so I'm assuming the license application background fee would be for the first time.
Probably.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know is that fee required every time that they reapply, or that's required?
It is, you have to meet, yep.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Potter.
Is a person that actually held a liquor license before. The initial background check is more intensive than the re-upping.
Yeah.
Because they got to make sure that any names that are similar, that is issues that, they do spend a little bit of time, because I did talk with Sheriff Miller on this when we got my liquor license. What exactly do you do? And it isn't just like, I look at a computer, oh, Michael Potter, fine. They actually have to do some digging. So there's a little bit of time involved in this on the initial application. After that, it's just, have you been a good boy for the whole year? After that, it's pretty simple.
Mr. Chair,
They gave me one.
Okay.
yeah. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Potter, that's a good point. I'm hopeful that, I'm thinking that may be the case here, but I don't know. I didn't have any conversations with the sheriff's office about this particular fee, but I believe they do a bit more investigation with the initial application. And then like I said, most of them that are crossing my desk are renewals. They're not a big item. We just look in our records, have there been any violations, so.
And Mr. Chair, the only
Yes,
reason I know
Commissioner
that is
Potter?
I specifically asked Sheriff Miller what he did for the license, because I figured, okay, is it just a rubber stamp, or do you actually do something?
Sure.
Because I had to pay that fee at the beginning.
And thank you, Commissioner Potter. So is there any other further discussion on the proposed fee schedule? We do have the motion, and we have a second, and we have the adopted amendment with the modifications to the park fee schedule. Hearing no other discussion, we'll make a vote here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? All right. Fee schedule is approved. All right. Was there anything else that I missed when I rushed you there at the end, Administrator Kelly?
I was done.
We're good? All right. Then I guess we will be adjourning here at 10:05, and we'll be reconvening in 25 minutes for a committee of the whole on lobbying services. Thank you, everyone. We are now adjourned.